again. Thank you for joining us for our second press conference with the Mamelodi Sundowns coach, Coach Manqoba Mngqithi. Coach, just your overall views, of course. It ended in a draw for Mamelodi Sundowns and AS Maniema Union. Just your overall feelings about how your players performed tonight.
I think we gave a very good account of ourselves. It was not easy from making the lineup, the tactics, and everything else in trying to prepare for this game because one, we did not have time. Two, most of our players were loaded physically. We felt we might end up having injuries. So it's a win for us that we did not get injuries because that means we still have our full squad. Otherwise, we had a lot of players that could not take part in this match because they had some niggling issues, some with quad, some with hamstrings, some with groins, and we had to try and juggle around and start a team that we felt was mobile enough to cause problems to this team. And I think we controlled the game very well. I think we got ourselves into good positions. Unfortunately, not to score goals because in the Champions League, in home matches, you expect to try and win your home matches. But be that as it may, I think many people are not aware. We played against a very good team. Unfortunately, they could not show how good they are because they relied more on transitions in this game, and I think we controlled the ball very well. We did not lose too many balls. There were few scary moments, and those scary moments were when we lost possession of the ball, when we got desperate, sometimes play balls in the air against those big players, and immediately from there it's a transition, and in transition with Mboma, number 20, with number 7, Pasiala, and Kitambala, always threatening your last line. I think we made the game to favor us by controlling almost all football actions. The only thing that we did not do in the game today, in my opinion, I think is to score goals. Because had we scored goals, we would be very happy because I think it's one of those games where you have given opponents almost nothing. And I must reiterate that this is a very good team. We've watched a lot of their matches, and both locally and in the Champions League. We watched the Petro games, and Petro, even now, they don't know what happened to them. And I can tell you, in this group, this team is going to be a very big problem for everybody else. But I'm very confident we will do very well against them in their home ground.
Thank you, Coach. We will now open the floor for questions. You can just raise your hand and the mic will come to you. Thank you.
Coach, I didn't hear from you this 3 times. How you explain the selection of the team? Obviously, it was 6 changes to your starting 11. But were you surprised at maybe the lack of fight from players that are now getting a chance to stake the claim for the first 11? Because, like you said, there's not fringe players in the squad. There's all quality in the entire squad. Was that maybe the game plan to just get through it, or were you surprised by the lack of fire and fight from some of the players who got opportunities?
I think I would have issues with 1 or 2 players that I felt maybe did not give enough effort more than anything else. But I think the rest of the players really pushed very hard. I was very happy with our last line. I think they performed very well. In the midfield, I think Tebza dominated his space, and he did very well against Kitambala because we wanted him to be always the recipient of balls that he tries to receive technically. And I think in that space he did very well. Erwin, I was very impressed with Erwin. I think he's going to come and help us a lot. there were a lot of very good players. The players that maybe I would have issues with are the players that I had question marks on the level of effort and intensity, because I think that's where most of the mistakes would emanate from. But otherwise, the rest of the squad performed quite well. Had we taken our chances, we would not be talking of anything in this match, to be honest.
Any other questions?
Coach, usually you start counting at 9 plus, 9 points at home plus. You see this group as one of those groups where, be it in Rabat or Casablanca or even DRC, you have to steal maximum points, not just a point.
Yeah, to be straightforward in this group, I think we've got even probably more potential to win more matches away from home. I see it like that, and I also see us winning some matches at home. At this stage, I've not pressed any panic buttons, because I think it could have been catastrophic had we lost this match after having lost the final. Going into this match with all the problems we had, if you look at the number of days and the number of matches, and how much of a change we had to make in the starting lineup based on the physiological challenges that we had, I strongly believe if you were to take out all those other underlying circumstances, maybe in this match we could have been even far stronger than what we were. And be that as it may, I still believe the group that played today also gave a very good account of themselves. It's just that those final decisions, those final touches, and maybe not taking advantage of some situations. There were some good breaks that we got where there was a 2 versus 1 and suddenly you can't even get a shot at goal. Things like that are the ones that will infuriate you, but the truth of the matter is there is a whole lot of positive things that I can take out under the circumstances.
Can you get the mic to Muscat?
Coach, the set pieces, I think today, even when they hit the post, there were some, I think, 3 corners, if not 4 in succession, that they were hoping to get something from. The previous game as well, a goal came from a set piece. Is that something that you are looking at maybe as somewhat of a concern, because teams look to be coming at Sundowns with this kind of tactic set pieces?
It is only fair for teams that would have between 20 and 30% possession to at least have something that they should set new with. And teams with 30%, 20% possession normally are very strong on set pieces. And this one in particular is terrific on set pieces. They did not hurt us, but believe me, this one is very, very dangerous on set pieces. They took Petro out with 2 goals that were both from set pieces. They rely so much on set pieces and counterattacks. And Mboma did not give much today, number 20. They also have number 11, Mbala, who did not play today, whom I'm 100% sure he will play at home. The 21 that got injured is one of their best players, Mola. He got injured very early in the game. Is those 3 players that play behind the striker are very dangerous, either on second ball and on transition. Then where have you seen a team with fullbacks with this size? Because if you look at Lupini, he's probably taller than all our centre backs. You look at Mawonda, the left back, is probably the same height as Motobi. So then the back four is just there waiting for that right moment where they get a set piece, plus the striker, plus Busaka or something, number 6. That creates a lot of problems for many teams, and I was happy that our boys stood their ground, even in those threatening moments. And you are right, in the Champions League, we must pay more attention to our set pieces, and it's an area that we are really concerned, because the goals we have considered, not only the goal that we considered in the final, if you were to look very closely at the goals that we have considered, you will see that that is an area where we are still found wanting sometimes. But I think the reaction was a little bit better today. It can be better still.
Coach, good evening and hard luck on the result. Kanye Sotraway from News 24 Sport. There have been games in the season where goals have come in avalanches, and then there have been games like the weekend and today where goals simply come in, whether the brilliance of the goalkeeper or decision making. Do you also look at just luck not being on your side? Know that it's still early in the season and you most probably need more fortune towards the end of the season.
I wouldn't want to go to the luck, because I believe I'm very lucky in my life. I'm still going to have a lot of luck. That's one thing that I've always had. Sometimes it's also God's way, God sometimes create these moments so that there could be audience at the end.
Do you have any other questions?
Coach, just overall on the Champions League this season, especially this also being the season where we are going to the Club World Cup. In terms of the expectations, I know it's still too early to talk about it, because of the 4 teams that are going to the Club World Cup, 3 are in the competition. Yourselves, Al Ali, and also Esperance, obviously, Wydad is out. Would it be ideal to have these 3 teams in the last 4?
You will have these teams in the last 4.
In fact, I wanted to say, how important is this, especially for Africa, to have this big preparation for the Club World Cup?
I think it's very, very important. It's what we've been planning and preparing for, with all the rotations that one has done to try and make sure that we arrive at this stage without a heavy load on the legs. I think where we are now, we were just unfortunate with the FIFA break and then the final immediately after, and that caused a little bit of chaos in terms of the physiological readiness of the players. But I do believe our players are not loaded in their legs. They are fresh enough, and I do believe now we are at a stage where we are getting closer and closer to our combinations that one wanted to start maybe firing at the right time, not to have them firing too early and end up creating problems for ourselves with people already knowing exactly what's likely to happen. I think now it's getting closer to probably even you starting to know who is in the starting 11 of Sundowns, because we tried to hide that as much as possible by rotating the team and making sure that every player has got minutes in the legs. And I'm very happy that almost every player that we have has had enough minutes in his legs, and everybody is confident that he can contribute towards the success of the club. And I don't think in the last few years we've been in this position where in match day 1 in the group stages you're still feeling fresh. But I think we were just disturbed by what happened now. But otherwise, I believe everybody is in a very good state physiologically to be able to take the dose of the next 5 matches in the Champions League and the matches that we will have in the league. So for me, it's looking very positive.
Thank you. take one last question, or have you been answered?
No.
Can you get the mic? Oh.
I want to ask about the Lucas, the create. He looked to be very, especially the first half, very creative. But I saw two moments where he even looked a bit frustrated because he would have the ball and then try to create space, but the support, or somebody who would then have to get into the, maybe on the penalty spot or just behind the penalty spot, would be a bit late. And even when he would play the ball, but they would be late. Is it a worry that someone that creative, that maybe would want central, would then have to move that much out of position and try to create for others? Or do you feel there's enough people, or maybe there should be enough people around him so that he can move free? Because you look at the opportunity created in the second half, he was central, but when he moves a bit out wide, he doesn't get to get the support that he needs. So that plus his creativity, doesn't need more help as well?
I don't think we would benefit much from Lucas if he was to be static in a central position and look for possibilities from a central position. I think it would be very easy for the opposition midfield to identify his position. And yet I think when his starting position is different from the position where he's going to finish, it's always looking better for us. What would frustrate sometimes is not to have enough players in the next line where he wants to pass the ball to, because everybody, for whatever reason, it happens a lot sometimes when you are playing against a low block where people all want to come short in front of the defensive line. Second half, I think they went ultra defensive as compared to first half, where he would get ample space just in front of the last line and be able to maneuver himself and create moments, and sometimes lose possession cheap when he's trying to create something. And it's acceptable for someone that creates for you that you must not put a lot of stress that he should not lose possession, because it means you are saying he must not take risks sometimes. And the risks that are taken, if they are calculated and measured, they benefit you. But second half, we changed a little bit, because now they were sitting in and we wanted to have at least two strikers against the three centre backs when we brought Mudau, so that Tapelo could go and play with Peter up top. Then Lucas would be static in a more diamond structure where we will still have the 2 8s in Neo and Marcelo, and have Tebogo in a 6. And we created moments even there. But when you did not score, you don't get to appreciate the good actions that you had from the middle third to the attacking third, because I think there were some very good moments from the middle third to the attacking third. We won some balls, we stole some balls, and we created something, but that final pass, that final touch, it did not give you what you want. But I must be fair with him. I think he's very important to us, and it would be nice if we try the best we can to always present him as an element of surprise in areas where we want him to help us in order to terminate attacks.
Coach Siyabonga, thank you to the media. That marks the end of our press conference.
Thank you.